Yeah, it's the snake oil. It's expensive. It's the bang for the buck is pretty low. The research and evidence on how helpful it is pretty limited. And for the most part, these things have just been really well marketed to convince people that they have some or could have some significant benefit on their life.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Better Basics podcast. As always, I'm Matt Stone, and alongside me, my good friend, Dylan Waldhuter. Dylan, we're back, man. How you doing?
Great. Spring's in the air. We got 70-degree weather in the forecast next week here in Wisconsin. So things are looking up. It's been a kind of a dark, cold little stretch here. Snow's finally gone. Really looking forward to playing golf. It's Masters week.
hmm Well, we have no idea when this is going to get released. It is currently Masters Week, and another big deal today, currently, was the release of Rustin Kelly's new album, which is a big day for
Huge,
all of us emo heads.
huge.
So uh huge day. It's already been released when you're listening to this, but go listen.
Yeah,
We
you're right. Who
You're
knows when these are
here.
going to come out? It's a fun little bookmark though. This comes out 3 months from now. People will be able to kind of piece it together.
Yeah. And so you're here for the fitness advice, but what you're going to learn is we both have great taste in music.
Amazing taste in
And
music.
and Rustin Kelly is the man, so check him out. But
Rustin
we
Kelly, let me just have a moment on Rustin. Rustin Kelly is the perfect blend between who Matt and I were when we met and who Matt and I are now today. It's sort of like, I think he refers to it as dirt emo. It's
mhm.
a blend between this early 2000s emo and today's more kind of contemporary folk singer songwriter world. And so
Yeah,
it's the continuum of our musical life. It's
yeah.
sad, but it's grungy and it's beautifully written. And I think we occasionally like to lift to sad songs, slow songs,
Oh,
right?
dude, I do. I do. My workout playlist is depressing as hell.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's awesome. And we'll have to share that. We'll have to open up the curtains a little bit to the audience, and maybe share with them a playlist of some of our favorite songs. That's not a bad idea.
I like it.
What we are here to talk about today is a continuation of our supplements episodes. So last episode we told you about the supplements that we would recommend, the things that are it was like gotta have it's like that nice to haves, and then the stuff that's just kind of extra. And now we're going to get into the stuff that you know might not, I mean, I guess some of it could be considered dangerous if used by the wrong people or in the wrong ways, but really just a lot of this is unnecessary and a waste of money.
Yeah, it's the snake oil. It's expensive. It's the bang for the buck is pretty low. The research and evidence on how helpful it is pretty limited. And for the most part, these things have just been really well marketed to convince people that they have some or could have some significant benefit on their life. So we
Yeah,
let
the common thread with all of this seems to be that they seem to have the answer. They've got the answer for whatever's ailing you, and there is no magic pill for a healthy, strong, better life. You got to earn those things. You got to make real changes. So you know a lot of these things are going to, when they are being advertised to these people, and to us, they're meant to be the thing that you're missing, but they're just meant to make you miss a little bit more money out of your bank account.
Yeah, they're usually born out of some ailment that the majority of people have. and then are the magical cure to said ailment. So we can talk when we get into the list. I think we can talk about maybe where some of this comes from, and maybe some of the things you can do for free to remedy that ailment versus buying something expensive and hoping that it works. So last
Yeah.
time we concluded the things that have benefit list by talking about supplementing with things that you might be deficient in with the advice of your doctor. So we talked about, different vitamins, minerals, things like vitamin D, magnesium, that through blood work and testing and working with your doctor, you may determine that you're deficient in, and those would be logical things. Again, with the guidance of your doctor to think about supplementing in your diet or adding some sort of supplement to get those levels up to where they need to be, which leads us into, I think, a supplement that kind of bridges the gap nicely between things that are helpful and things that might be bullshit. And it's probably the most commonly taken supplement of all, and that's the multivitamin. In our first episode, I think we talked about how when we were first getting started in our fitness journeys, we went to the GNC, we bought the multivitamin, and all of a sudden we were in a panic because our piss was neon green. And a lot of that has to do with multivitamins being really, really high in vitamin B and the body's inability to use that much vitamin B. So you ultimately end up peeing a lot of it out. But what's important to know about multivitamins is that they can be quite helpful, but it is important to be cautious because there are really high doses of a whole number of vitamins and minerals in these things that you may or may not need. And if you don't need super high amounts of a certain vitamin, then taking more of it could actually end up being detrimental to your overall health. So it's important that you're cautious when taking things like multivitamins.
Yeah. And, you see these packages that have, you know, uh, 1,000% of your daily recommended value of, vitamin B or whatever. And first off, it's probably unnecessary. They get to say, that they have this amount of whatever vitamin there. And the other thing that you have to be careful of with these vitamins, especially if you're value shopping, is you got to wonder if they're even bioavailable.
Mm-hmm.
There are some of these components that they put in cheap multivitamins that do in fact have that vitamin or mineral in there, but the way that it is in there is a cheap form and your body can't do anything with it. So it's one of those things where, it says that it has this, but is your body actually able to absorb and use whatever's in there?
Yeah. So under doctor supervision, obviously if your doctor is making a recommendation that you take something like this, you can follow that guidance. But if this is something you're exploring on your own, you really want to be careful, do your research, ensure that what you're taking, to your point, Matt, is of high quality and that it's not overloaded with certain vitamins that you really don't need or that could potentially be detrimental to you. So multivitamin is one, again, kind of plays in both spaces. If you get the right multivitamin, it can be really, really beneficial to you. If you get the wrong one or you don't really need it, it can be problematic. And like everything in this category of supplements, these are supplementary. So if you're taking a multivitamin to replace the vitamins that you should be getting from your diet, then you're not really using it in the right way anyways.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also really important and this is why it is important to consult with your doctor and make sure that you're doing research on this stuff. You got to make sure that those recommended dietary allowances, the RDAs on there, that those amounts are are in those within those safe values. Because, as we mentioned, a lot of times, especially these, not as reputable, cheaper multivitamins are just going to load up their product with as much stuff as they can possibly can for, marketing sake. And, that might not always be healthy for you. And it could actually, it's not just something where it could be as simple as your pee turns green. It could be something that actually starts to have, if taken over prolonged, longer periods of time, it could start to have some adverse effects on, your bodily functions, organs, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for example, iron, right? There's people with something called, I think it's called hemochromatosis, where the body absorbs more iron, and the blood doesn't do a good job of recirculating it. I'm probably not speaking all that eloquently on the issue, but the point is, by taking a multivitamin that's loaded up with iron, if your body isn't capable of using or processing the iron in the way that it's supposed to, you could now be doing harm to your body, right? And to your organs. Vitamin C, I believe, makes iron more bioavailable. So if you have this hemochromatosis issue, and your multivitamins not only full of iron, but also full of 3,000% the RDA recommended daily of vitamin C, you're now exacerbating the issue further. So it's just really important to know that these can be helpful. They can also be detrimental. Quality really matters a lot.
Yeah, and these are things that you wouldn't necessarily know, if you didn't take the time to, get the proper test done prior. So, it's not something where we want to scare anybody into not taking multivitamins. If it's something that you want to try out, be our guest. What we're just saying is read those labels and do the research.
Yep.
Before you just, buy something that somebody's trying to sell you, or something that an ad, pops up and makes it seem like it's going to fix all your problems. It's not that simple. So, it's just one of those things where you got to be careful. And so that's why a lot of times it's easier to just, say, let's find other sources for those, those vitamins and those minerals, so that we can avoid a multivitamin altogether. But, if you do feel like you need it, or your doctor tells you that you do, then that's great.
You bet. Takes us kind of nicely into the next one on our list, which is any supplement where the label says something about some proprietary blend or magical formula, where there's very little with regard to the true ingredients or makeup of said supplement, and rather the supplement itself is suggesting that they have to keep the formula secret because this is the magical solution to the problem that only they have, right? So these proprietary blend labels, to the whole point we've made over and over again about marketing in this fitness space, is something to be very careful of.
Yeah, there's such a lack of transparency in the supplement business to begin with. If a company is not willing to share with the general public what is actually in a product that they're selling and the, relative amounts, then that's something you have to be really, really cautious of. I mean, there's no reason why a company, and they're going to tell you it's because they need to keep their secret recipe safe. But if a company is actually trying to do right by its customers and is actually trying to help the most amount of people possible, they will have no issue sharing that, and just understanding that, that they make the highest quality product, or that they have a loyal, supporting base that's going to, stick with them if a competitor does pop up. But anybody that is trying to not tell you what it is they're selling, I mean, that is straight up snake oil.
Yeah, it is. You see it in a number of different examples, right? A person who is maybe having some trouble with their cycle or their period, and that can be a really difficult thing for a woman to deal with. and then makes them quite vulnerable to the sale of a different supplement or remedy to their problem. And you'll so often see some magical proprietary formula to help resolve that issue that they're having. And if they can't tell you more about what it is and how it's helping you, my first reaction to any of that would be to steer clear of it, talk to your doctor, try to learn more about what's there, and see if there are more transparent remedies to the problem that you might be having.
Yeah, totally. And uh, moving along, something that seems to be really, really hot in the streets right now, something that is, I hadn't heard of until a few years back, and something that really has seemed to kind of take the supplement world by storm recently is, BCAAs and EAAs, branched chain amino acids and essential amino acids. Um, it's something that, I mean, we both have taken amino acids in the past. It's something that is, there is research to suggest that there's value in both a branched chain amino acid and an essential amino acid. However, there are better ways to get those types of amino acids. So actually, why don't we start real quick with talking about why amino acids are important?
Yeah, and to do that, I think it's safe to say that both BCAAs and EAAs are probably not going to be that beneficial to the average person like you or I. That being said, EAAs are probably more beneficial than BCAAs. I think we can pretty categorically say that BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, are bullshit. So I would steer clear of those altogether. On the essential amino acid front, those are made up of all 9 amino acids and can be beneficial for helping to build muscle. So amino acids are the building blocks for muscle. And so that's why you see this in the fitness space quite frequently. There's a number of different benefits that EAAs, that amino acids in general have beyond muscle building, but that's kind of why they are in this space specifically. And what we know is that if you are eating enough protein, enough quality protein, and or supplementing with something like a whey protein source, that you don't need these EAAs. These EAAs could be helpful for perhaps a vegan, right, who isn't getting all of these essential amino acids through their diet because they're eating primarily vegan sources of said protein. So if you're getting quality protein, if you're getting animal protein, and you're getting enough of it, we've talked about 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of target body weight, then these are just expensive things that aren't really going to help you much at all.
That are flavored and make your water taste good.
Yeah, they taste good.
Really. Yeah. I mean, and so there are two types of people that I would think that EAAs might be beneficial for. One is, like you already said, vegan. So if you're not getting enough quality protein, complete proteins in your diet, this is a good supplement opportunity. The other is those bodybuilding competitors, the guys and gals that are living on that edge where every calorie matters. And so they might be, beefing up for or not literally beefing up, they might be cutting down for a competition, and their calories have to be so low, but they're training like crazy, and they need to get everything they can they need to uncover every stone, every trick in the book. And so maybe this is a good opportunity for them to supplement as well. The people that we're talking to, the folks that I think are going to end up being, that are our audience, and the people that are going to really find our message resonating with them, they're not listening, they're not them.
Right.
So, I don't think that those are the types of people we need to be worried about here. For the average, Joe and Jill, both BCAAs and EAAs are something that you should probably, you're going to want to skip it and focus more on just hitting those protein numbers. If you're doing that, then this really does become irrelevant.
Yeah, and just to clarify your second point, EAAs, they have the amino acid profile of something like a whey protein, but without the calories that come with a whey protein. So
Yeah, right.
that's why it's something that can be really beneficial to somebody like a bodybuilder. You could maybe make the case if you're training quite hard and you're trying pretty aggressively to lose weight. But again, these are expensive things. Eat your chicken, eat your eggs, eat your beef,
Well, and then you're going to be full.
and you'll be
You're going to
full.
feel
Right.
you're going to feel full. If you prioritize protein in a calorie deficit, it's going to do so much for not just for you, hitting those protein targets, but also, mentally too, because you're not going to feel like you're starving yourself.
Yeah.
Hitting those protein goals does, make sure that you're going to feel satisfied, at the end of the day.
Yeah, which is so important. Really good point. Yeah, stuff tastes like Kool-Aid. So you're not going to be
Yeah.
satiated. It's not going to fill you up. It might inspire you to go eat more, in fact. So that's a really
Right.
important point as well. Another one that falls in this category of kind of protein adjacent supplements is collagen.
Mm-hmm.
And collagen has been hot lately. I've taken it before,
Same.
and um, it's probably not a supplement that's going to cause you any harm, but the majority of the evidence suggests that it likely has very little benefit as it's sort of marketed. So a lot of the benefits that are sold to us have to do with gut health and sort of improving the integrity of the intestinal barriers. There's some benefits suggested with regard to joint health. And I think there's also some benefits with regard to muscle building or muscle recovery. On the muscle building and muscle recovery front, the evidence doesn't show that that's true whatsoever. On the joint health front, there could be maybe some case to be made there. The collagen does come from the kind of cartilage and bones of animals, I believe, right, Matt?
Yeah, right.
And so that, but again, the evidence is pretty weak. And on the gut health front, I think it's been more anecdotal. So if it's something you want to try, if you have some gut problems and it helps you, good. Maybe it can be helpful. It's likely not harmful whatsoever. But the benefits that they're selling you on this one have been proven over and over again to really not align with the true outcomes of using it.
Yeah, and collagen has been something that I feel like has been advertised towards women specifically because that's a term that most women who, you know, and and women have been done such a disservice in the health and wellness space in general
Mm-hmm.
with the BS marketing tactics that get flown their way. So every woman knows about collagen and how it's supposed to, help with skin and make their
Skin.
hair pretty and whatever. Um, so, but at the end of the day, collagen it's just another type of amino acid profile and from what I understand, and this is my very surface level understanding of collagen and the research that I've done with it, um, you ingest this collagen and it gets broken down in your, through the digestive process. It doesn't get resequenced back into collagen for your body to actually use.
Right.
You are ingesting those amino acids and you're getting that protein. And there are some very high quality collagen supplements out there. But how I have begun to look at collagen is just another protein supplement and something that is geared specifically towards women because women can then say, "Oh, I'm taking my collagen shake instead of my protein shake because it doesn't sound as
Not gonna
as
make me
beefy."
beefy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sucks because like that's it's marketing. And if you look at Google, collagen supplements and look at the labels, look at who they are trying to attract with a lot of these labels, and it's pretty obvious what's going on there. So if you have a high quality protein, whey protein, as we've talked about, high quality protein supplement. But here's the other thing: if you want collagen, uh, sip on a cup of bone broth.
Yeah.
Get it from directly from those animal sources, and it's going to be more bioavailable. It's going to be just easier, for your body in general. So there are, again, and this is what the majority of this is going to, circle back to, is getting those, those nutrients and supplements from whole foods, from real sources.
Yeah, just to tie a bow on a couple of the points you just made, on the muscle building front and its marketing to women, collagen is one of the worst proteins for building muscle. It's low in the essential amino acids that you'd find in a whey protein, for example. So it's not a good muscle building protein. And then on the I was just reading over here on the joint skin kind of benefit front, the type of collagen that's found in these collagen powders isn't the type of collagen that's going to help improve those things. You need a undenatured type 2 collagen peptide to achieve that goal. So basically what's happened is smart marketers have seen that there is this collagen peptide that can support those things, pulled the word collagen out, figured out a cheap way to process collagen protein, put it into a powder, and sold it as a joint and skin health remedy. So this is the type of
that just pisses me off so much.
Yeah,
because that's what it is. It's just marketing, and it's deception, and it's just, that's the world we live in. I mean, that's done so often, and that's why, I feel like these conversations are so damn important, because we have no benefit. Us saying that collagen sucks does not benefit us in any way. It's not all we're trying to do is tell a little bit of truth to people, and and in this case, women specifically, who have just been lied to for their entire lives, and it sucks. So on behalf of the fitness industry, ladies, we apologize, but you just can't. Do not trust a marketing gimmick. Do not trust and do not trust one study that has been cited that you didn't even read. Because that right there, what you just said, where you're talking about this type 2 collagen peptide, now they can just clip out the word collagen, use the reference the rest of that study, and then all of a sudden you have your your proof.
Yeah.
But if you do any research, that is just absolute garbage.
Yeah, the reality of this whole fitness space, and specifically supplements, is we're a lot of times talking about really complicated bodily processes and then adding things that really work in the margins. And we're communicating it to average people that are struggling with certain problems. And there's no way for them to be educated enough to know if what's being communicated to them is actually true. So it's a lot of times it's actually quite cruel what a lot of these companies are doing, because they're knowingly manipulating information and communicating it through successful marketing channels and strategies to average people that do have real problems and do require real solutions. But the majority of said solutions are typically more simple or require something that isn't as easy as just pulling something off a shelf and taking it with your breakfast. So that's why I think that's part of the motivation for us doing this and having this podcast, is that we are those regular people that have been sold to, that have consumed these things, that have tried this, that have had to go through the process of not being experts in these complicated things, in trying to figure out where is the value and where is it snake oil.
Yeah. I mean, I've easily spent $1,000+ on everything on this list.
Yeah.
We've tried these things. We have, for the most part, there's a couple, that we'll get to in a minute that I haven't tried personally, but that we've done enough. We know enough where we can confidently say they're not necessary. But I mean, it's one of those things where this is coming from a place of experience, and while we don't have the medical degrees to conduct these studies and to really get in the weeds with it. You don't want that. What you want is just some guys that have tried some stuff and are just sharing their results. So
Yeah, it's coming from the experience of just, it's so important. I keep saying it, but regular people. We're not bodybuilders. We're not pro athletes. We're just like the majority of people out there in the world that are trying to get a little bit healthier. And that perspective is missing in this fitness space, in my opinion. Most of this information is being communicated to us by really smart people, but they've been bodybuilders, they've been pro athletes, they've been decades-long trainers, they're scientists, they're doctors. We're here to communicate the message for an average, is maybe the wrong word, but just ordinary people, just people, right? That aren't crazy about this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of crazy, one supplement that I have had a lot of experience with in the past, but have not used regularly in years. Yeah, I mean, going on a half decade plus now at least, would be pre-workout.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, so I have some very fond memories of pre-workout. I am a part of the original recipe Jacked 3D days. And for anybody that is not familiar with the original Jacked 3D recipe, it had to be pulled from the market because they basically realized that they were giving you meth. And I mean, they're not wrong. I remember, what I would always have to do was time it. I would take it before I'd go to the gym when I was in college, and I would always try to time it, so that as soon as I was walking into the gym, I would get those tingles, and it would be tingles all over the body. It would be a sweat, just from walking. And I was angry at weights. I just needed to move them from one place to another. But there were a few times where I might have jumped the gun and drank my pre-workout a little bit early, and I broke out in sweats in a lecture hall.
Right.
So pre-workouts are fun. They definitely give you, well, I shouldn't say definitely. Some of them definitely give you a real boost and have real effects that might make your lifts better. However, that doesn't mean that there's something that should be required or something that you should even feel like you have to use to get the best workout possible.
Yeah, no, 100%. And they're typically quite expensive.
Well,
And
the good
so
ones.
the good ones are going to be pretty expensive. The reality is the best pre-workout is probably like a tablespoon of honey for some quick carbs and a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But that's inexpensive and harder to market and sell, to the points that we've been making over and over again. So yes, I'm taking a pre-workout right now. And I'm doing it because I'm a little bit lower calorie than I was before, and I wanted to see if I could get some additional energy out of it. But I think these things are marketed and sold to people that want to get into working out because the average person is busy, they're tired, and by the time they make it to the gym at 5:30 after a long day of work, they feel like they could use another little boost. And maybe they can be helpful. And if you're willing to make the expensive investment to give you that extra boost, maybe it's worth a try. There are some good ones out there. But I think
Yes.
really important to get dialed in on a number of other things before you start spending the money on something like a pre-workout. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you're hitting your protein targets. Make sure you're eating enough calories to fuel your workout.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. If you are a person that trains and maybe you feel like you need a pre-workout to take your workout to the next level, totally fine. But I also think there's some value in listening to your body and
Mm,
not just trying to force that square peg into a round hole. If you are lagging in the gym on a particular day, it's for a specific reason.
right.
And by masking it with beta alanine and caffeine, you might be disrupting your body in a way that causes some more damaging effects than not hitting a PR in your workout.
Yeah.
And now the other thing that I wanted to mention, if you are going to buy a pre-workout supplement, just make sure okay, so beta alanine is going to be a compound that's going to be found in the majority of pre-workouts, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it is in there specifically to give you those tingles. That is the reason why it's there. So if that is the main component of your pre-workout, then you're really just getting something that is a placebo at the end of the day. So just something to be careful on. I my pre-workout right now, like you said, Dylan, is some coffee, and I'm getting back. I'm getting a little bit back in the candy game. So I might pop a couple pieces. I'm really into those nerds, the bites. They're like the chopped up nerds rope. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking
Yep.
about? The
Yeah.
clusters, I think they're called, the gummy
Yep.
clusters.
Yep.
Uh, I love those things so much. And uh, using it as a pre workout is actually a nice excuse to have a little bit of candy. I'm not going to go and tell you that that is the healthiest way to get energy prior to the gym, but it's just another way to get a little boost. If you want to do the natural organic way, some honey and coffee is going to give you exactly what you need.
Yeah. Yeah. I love I remember being a kid and being at a Bucks game in Milwaukee and seeing the bowl of candy next to the bench. And
Yeah.
to your point, it's a good source of quick absorbed carbs that can help fuel a workout. So
And if
time and
you're going to
place.
eat candy, if you're going to eat candy while you're doing an intense workout directly before or after, is the time to do it, because your body can take those sugars, those quick carbs, turn it right into energy and burn that off.
Yep.
You
It's
know,
true.
so that and that is a little life hack that if you are somebody that does like candy from time to time, this is not your carte blanche to go and eat your kids' Halloween stash at the gym. But this is a good opportunity if you are going to have a little something sweet like that. That's a good time and place.
The next one has to be the hottest topic in male health and fitness right now, and is without question, I think the cookies have me pegged. This is sold to me like crazy on Instagram and elsewhere, and that's testosterone and testosterone boosters. So,
Totally.
so there is evidence to suggest that we are in a bit of a testosterone crisis, that men's testosterone levels have been decreasing over time in the broad population. And as a result, you've now found testosterone being pushed in testosterone boosters, or different compounds that are proven to boost testosterone levels, being marketed pretty heavily, not only for building muscle. So testosterone used to be more or less a steroid that people would take in high doses to help build muscle, but is now being marketed and sold as something that we need to increase in the average male to support things like energy levels and sexual function, etc. Not at 60 years old, but at 20 and 25 and 30 years old. And
Mm-hmm.
so this isn't to say that nobody listening to this doesn't have low testosterone levels or couldn't benefit from some testosterone support, right? Testosterone replacement type therapy. But the likely cause for this crisis of testosterone has a lot more to do with our lifestyles than anything else. And
Say it again.
We are not sleeping enough. We are now more than ever exposed to things in our food and in the packaging that our food comes in that are disrupting our hormone profiles. We live in a different world than we did 50 years ago. And so it shouldn't be a major surprise that we're seeing a lot of this decrease in testosterone. And before I'd go towards any sort of either testosterone booster, things like Tongkat Ali, which have shown some benefits to at least increase testosterone in the short term. There's also evidence to suggest that that benefit wears off over time. I'd be looking at my lifestyle. Am I getting enough sleep? You know, am I strength training? That can be very helpful for increasing testosterone levels. So am I eating out of or warming my food up in plastics? Those sorts of things are the pieces I'd be looking at before I was looking to supplement with any expensive testosterone booster and or thinking about testosterone replacement therapy.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where I want to start with this because I have so much that I want to say. All right, let's start with the fact that the supplement world is not regulated by any governing body. Not the FDA does not govern the supplement world, which means that a company can make a claim and not have to provide any evidence for said claim. I read a study from the University of Southern California Health and Sciences that said, actually, here, let me just read it. I'll just read the quote. They researched 150 supplements. Of those 150 supplements, these are testosterone boosting supplements. Of those 150, researchers came across 16 general claims to benefit patients, including the boost of T and free T, building lean muscle mass. But while 90% of the T booster supplements claimed to boost testosterone, researchers found that less than 25% of the supplements had data to support their claims. So that's not even saying that 25% worked. That's saying 25% of those, only 25% had data.
Yeah, had even tried to figure out if what they were saying was true at all.
Right.
Doesn't mean it was good data or a good study they ran, but
not at all. Just have data in general.
That means three-quarters of them almost are they're just baseless claims.
Lying.
Yeah, lying.
Like it's preposterous. And you know, and this is one that if you feel like you suffer from low T, if you feel like testosterone might be something that is a problem, that your testosterone levels might be a problem, you need to talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
There is no other way around it. You need to get those, because we can test for those levels, and if they are off, then your doctor can help you come up with a legitimate solution, or you just know, and then you can help come up with your own natural solution as well. So, but this is one of those things that you cannot start trying these testosterone supplements until you actually know that you have a problem to begin with.
If you aren't exercising, if you aren't eating well, if you aren't figuring out how to minimize your stress levels, if you aren't sleeping enough, if you're drinking too much alcohol, if you're exposed to high levels of estrogen-like chemicals and plastics and the like, you shouldn't be going anywhere near these supplements. There are all sorts of lifestyle interventions you can take to fix this before you start facing things that may or may not even have claims to support that they work, right? There are some supplements out there that have shown some benefit. But again, these are expensive things, And we shouldn't be so quick to look for band-aids to our problems all the time. Let's get to the root of the issue. Let's dial in some of these other things. And I'm not saying you have to eat well all the time, or that you can never have stress in your life, or that you have to exercise every day, or that you have to get a perfect night's sleep every night. That's crazy to think about. But if you're never sleeping well, let's figure out how to get that sleep dialed in a bit better. If you're eating like shit 80% of the time, let's see if we can eat like shit maybe 20, 25, 30% of the time. Those are huge improvements on some very basic lifestyle things that can make massive benefit for not only things like increasing testosterone, but your just general health overall.
Yeah, the last thing that I wanted to say about this is, you brought up some really good points with the foods that we're eating, and some real reasons as to why we are seeing a drop in testosterone levels in young men, now versus the past. And this is such a perfect, 2023 way of solving a problem. Instead of taking a step back and being like, wow, we're seeing a drop in testosterone, why don't we look at the reasons why this has happened, instead of trying to, go backwards and make lifestyle changes. It's, well, let's just add some more testosterone. Why don't we just do that? Like it's just such a perfect, a perfect encapsulation of the world that we live in today, where you have a problem and we know what's causing it, but instead of going there for the solution, we create a new product that needs to be purchased, that will then have some other problems with it, and you're going to have to, then take another product to go off of there. But I mean, I think that goes really nicely with the last thing that I wanted to talk about, which is fat burning supplements. Anything that claims it's going to help melt the fat off of your body. Sorry, we know the way to burn fat. It's really simple. Dylan, do you want to share it with them?
Yeah. Get into a calorie deficit, right?
That's it.
I mean,
That's
but
it.
it's just energy balance, right? If
Right.
you consume more energy than you're burning in a given day, that's going to convert to fat. If you get that flipped and you're burning more energy than you're consuming, you're now going to burn fat over time, right? It's not a daily deal, but there is a way to do this through lifestyle intervention. And to the point that you just made, we've found a pharmacological intervention for every ailment that's ever existed, ever, for the most part. But the one epidemic that people talk about frequently that there hasn't really been a drug intervention for yet is obesity, right? We know obesity is a problem. We know it's correlated with a number of different diseases. Until now, there are now obesity drugs being formulated and marketed to people that are the cure for obesity. I mean, think about that. We know very simply the reasons that obesity levels are increasing and the interventions we can take in our lifestyles to limit that. And we've now gotten to the point where they're trying to figure out drug interventions to solve the obesity crisis. It's crazy. That's how prevalent this Band-Aid approach is in the health and fitness world. And again, to the name of our Better Basics podcast, how simple a lot of the corrective measures, the things you can do to be preventative, are and difficult to sell. So it's like, I love the analogy of you got a really stinky garbage can in your house, and the stinky garbage can has attracted swarms of flies. And so there's two options here, right? We can grab a fat burner supplement or an anti-obesity drug, which is your fly swatter, and we can just kill the flies off over and over again until the flies go away, but they're always going to come back. Or we can implement the lifestyle interventions like dieting or trying to move more or eat a little bit less, which is just to take the damn trash out. And nobody ever wants to just take the damn trash out. We're always looking for the fly swatter solutions to these problems, which has led to this whole conversation around supplements and why they're so prevalent in the market today.
Oh man, I love that. I love that. I've never heard that before. That's a good one. Let's take a quick second to talk about what fat burners, what they actually do. So first and foremost, I think it's important to note that there is nothing that will actually make fat cells disappear. That's not what any of these supplements or even the medications on the market, that they're not directly melting fat cells. What they are doing is a few different things. They are manipulating your metabolism so that you can burn more calories. Um, they're going to reduce, they're going to affect your gut to try and make that reduce the amount of fat, that it can absorb. And then the main one that I see, the main one is appetite suppressants. That seems to be the biggest, one right now is some sort of, and they tend to be stimulants, some sort of stimulant that will just make you not as hungry.
Yeah. I believe that's what these obesity drugs are now doing, is they're just
Like Ozempic. That's
Ozempic.
one of the big.
They're
Yeah,
just curbing appetite. And craving.
Yeah, it's affecting. So it's actually Ozempic started as a drug for diabetics, um, and it's now becoming a problem because there is now it's becoming a trendy, like suburban mom supplement or drug. I should say it's not a supplement; it's a drug. Um, that it is now becoming harder for diabetics, people who actually need it, to get it,
Right.
because you have, you got a bunch of suburban moms that don't want to go to the gym, that are taking it, so they eat less.
And now
So
and now you can be diagnosed with obesity,
right.
and now you've got the pharma industry
Mm-hmm.
playing its hand in a
Oh,
world
they're
of,
good.
I mean, the pharma industry has without a doubt identified that there are increasing levels of obesity and that the majority of people are breaching that threshold. So from a pharma perspective, they've just see a brand new, huge, massive market for them. We haven't even and we will another time, but gotten into the complications around even defining an individual as obese, right? The body mass index is a useful tool at the population scale, but when evaluating an individual with a problem, it's ultimately useless, right? I mean, they're being obese on the BMI scale for any given individual doesn't immediately suggest that they're even overweight or unhealthy.
I'm obese on the BMI scale.
There we go. Yeah.
Because I'm 6'3", 235,
right.
but if you do any sort of testing, you'll understand that the majority of that is bone and muscle
You're
mass.
10% body fat.
Shut up. It's 11. No big deal. I took an in-body scan. I think the results might have been a little off, but whatever. Anyways, it's important to know that in 2020, weight loss supplements were a $2 billion industry. $2 billion. That's just in America.
Yeah.
So there is a vested interest in all of these companies to keep that going. They know that what the results actually are, and they know about the side effects that come with their, whatever their supplement or drug is. But they're going to keep just shining a light on that pain point for you, how hard it is to lose weight, how hard you've had it.
Yeah.
We get it. We know that it's not easy to lose weight, but I'll tell you what, it can be done, and there are real ways to make it sustainable that aren't going to have long-term negative implications on, one, your health, but also your pocketbook too, because they know that, and if they get somebody hooked on these fat loss, fat burning supplements, that anytime that they feel fat, they're gonna just order some
Cha-ching,
more, and
cha-ching. Yeah,
then they're gonna to mix it in with their Diet Coke on their way home from the gym.
yeah.
It's just it's
And
crazy.
so many people have been led to believe that there's a lot of people that are overweight. Then
Hmm.
there's a whole nother pool of people that have been led to believe that they're overweight when maybe they're
Hmm.
not. And then there's a whole nother pool of people that have been led to believe that they're supposed to look like a bodybuilder or fitness model. And so you can convince just about anybody that a fat burner is a viable solution to a problem that they have, especially when you're trying to convince the masses that this is a problem that they have. So I think that the common thread in all of this is that, and we've made this point many times, we made it up front to be wary of the salespeople in this fitness space, is you got a lot of people trying to convince even more people that they have a problem and that there is a fly swatter solution to that given problem. The reality is, if you follow along with us and start to try to curiously implement some of the lifestyle interventions that we're going to talk about in this podcast, that those things are going to be many times more effective than any of these fly swatters. We're going to help you take the garbage out. We're going to give you strategies to help you move a little more, exercise a little better, get a little stronger, eat a little better, sleep a little better, get some of that stress in your life tamed down a bit. And those are the things that are going to help you lose weight, get a little stronger, look a little better, feel a little better, get better results from the doctor. It doesn't take these supplements. It doesn't take this massive investment in what the world is trying to market to you to resolve these issues. And there is a time and a place for them on the margins. If there are some reasons to supplement certain things because of genetic factors or whatever, or you just want to have a little fun with some pre-workout to go a little harder in the gym one day. We're not here to suggest that that's not fun either, but to be sold these things, so it's hard not to believe them, right? You see it everywhere. You're on your phone, you're watching TV. They are pushing this thing down our throats like crazy. And it's just most of it is not, it's not the solution. It's a strategy that you can consider and implement to improve some, but these are not silver bullets.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. Take out the damn trash. That's
Take the
it,
trash
man. I
out.
love that. That's so good. That got a little heavy, and but it's real, and that's the kind of stuff that, we want to be able to be honest about and have these what can be hard conversations. But to end it, before we started recording, uh, I was looking over the show notes, and you snuck something in there
Oh yeah,
on
my new favorite supplement.
yeah. We didn't have time to talk about it in the supplements we do recommend category, or podcast. So, we're gonna talk about it here. Something very near and dear to both of our hearts, but something that, Dylan is making a push to be the supplement of 2023. So why don't you tell everybody what it is?
Yeah, so the other day I like to take a can of sardines, and I like to make it into more or less a tuna salad. It tastes just like tuna if you kind of stir it up with some mayonnaise and add some
Mm-hmm.
seasonings. Um, and more recently, I've tried to cut my calories a bit for body composition reasons, and so the mayonnaise can get a bit caloric. So I was thinking to myself, how do I make this taste good if I don't want to be adding the mayo any longer? And I had an epiphany that possibly the best supplement of all supplements is hot sauce.
Okay.
It is a magical tool. There are so many different flavors and types that add so much to food and give it so much flavor and variety of flavor, and they're all effectively 0 calorie. So
Mm-hmm.
I am now pushing hard for hot sauce as a staple in anybody's diet that is looking to cut back their calories a bit, and we know things like dressings and dips can be fairly caloric. They're typically oil-based. And so hot sauce for president.
I love that, man. And yeah, it's such an easy one, because yeah, it does become challenging when you are trying to operate in a caloric deficit. What foods can you have? And a lot of times those condiments become the first thing to go, because it just tends to be, extra calories, doesn't have a ton of, you know, uh, it doesn't help you a ton in the macronutrient department, but something like hot sauce, basically 0 calories, ton of flavor. Uh, I love it. And if you get a fermented hot sauce, you can also get a little bit of those gut benefits in there too.
I love that. There was a kimchi hot sauce that I used to
Oh
buy
yeah,
when I
what
lived
was
in
that?
Nashville. I forgot, but I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought it up because I got to go find that again. That stuff was amazing. It was basically just blended up kimchi.
Mm,
Oh, so good. Such a good
yeah.
tip. So yeah, thank you for the reminder.
Of course. Well, thank you everybody for listening. If you like what we're doing, be sure to check out all of our, the YouTube channel. Be sure to check out follow me on Instagram, the Basic Trainer. And, we've got a ton of stuff for you. We're going to keep making more information. We love what we're doing. Dylan, what else we got to talk about before we get out of here?
Nothing really. I think if there's anything we left off either of these lists that you'd throw into the mix or you're curious about, we've probably tried it and may have just forgotten about it, or we probably know people that have, or we can help to kind of cut through some of the bullshit and the research to figure out if and how it might be helpful. And we'd love to hear from you. If certain things on either of these lists have helped or not helped, and what you've learned through your own journeys. So yeah, be in touch with us in the comments and social media, etc.
Reach out. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.